Hello, I'm Pat McGovern. I'm from the Open4st group, and we're here to talk today about a figured aspen and how to measure the grain pull force from the figured grain. This is a highly figured native aspen cross section, and you can see here that you can see the grain on this finished section, and then this is the naturally split section that you can see the actual grain from that split part. And here's the edge as well. This is highly figured, but today we're also going to look at we're going to sample a lightly figured clone. This is AGRR1. It's a hybrid that I found, and you can see that there's very little comparative figure to this. There's a little bit of ripple in the skin of it, the cambium, and so the question is, how do we determine this type of figure, any kind of figure, when in young samples when we want to select the clones? So this is a AGRR1 clone from a 3-year-old tree, and this is about 10 feet high. And so we want to take samples of any given aspen and split it and see if that grain, the force that it takes to pull that grain apart is an indication of figure. Because in general, the thought is the harder it is to split, the more figure there might be. But we don't know. We need to get the metrics to find out. So I took this stem and I cut samples from it, 3-inch samples. These are some of them. And then from that, I have a jig here in this jigsaw, a bandsaw, and I cut 10 millimeter groove down the middle, and I measure the top stem. And then we're going to pull it apart with a gauge, with a gauge like this that will peak load. It will stop at the highest peak that it gets. So we'll turn that on. And so when I pull on it, it's going to go up to a certain point and it'll stop. And I can reset it. So that's what we're going to do. So I have my sample. And the first thing I need to do too is put another split in there. This is a blade from a scraping blade, a razor blade. I want to add a little bit more of a split. So from this point on, when I pull it apart, that's what will determine where we do the measuring from that split. That's right down to this part. So I put the wire down here. It's just a braided wire. And then I feed it into this handy-dandy jig that my son Michael made. And this jig will help us to stabilize the wood while we pull it apart. So I have the wire right behind that. And I put the rubber band on there to stabilize it. I zero out my gauge, put it on the wire. I can zero it out again if we want. And then pull it apart. And this one was 16.65 pounds for that piece. And so and then now you can see the grain on that. There isn't much because it's lightly figured. It's really hard to see with that film. Here's another one. This clone is R25R5. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's slight little indentations in the grain from these, and that is an indication of this one being figured. We hope. Anyway, we'll find out once we get the metrics in. Thank you very much. Goodbye.